Hi everyone! My name is Alyssa Vargas and I'm the teaching artist with BMCYF's Space to Create program. So today I'm going to be doing a video on Blackout Poetry. So I'm going to be showing you what it is and how to create it, and you're going to be taking some existing text like a book, or you can take a newspaper or a poem. I'm going to be doing a poem today, and I'm going to be showing you how to create new meaning to those words. So we're going to be making our own poem out of the words from the existing poem. So I hope you'll enjoy this video and make sure that you show us your work if you create something from this tutorial. All right, let's get started. To create my piece of Blackout Poetry today, I'm going to be using a poem from the poetryoutloud.org website. So I'm going to go here and find a poem, and then I'm going to print it out. And this is a really good site to use. You can click Find Poems and Browse Poems. You could also click the random poem and see if one comes up there. That's good. You could also use something like a newspaper article or a page out of an old book as well. But I like this poem, so I'm going to use this one because there's a lot of words in here I see that I could use. When choosing a poem, you want to find one that either inspires you or it has some sort of meaning to you. So if you want to use the poetryoutloud.org website, you can push the Browse Poems button and go through poems by name. Or you could just keep clicking that random poem button if you wanted to until you find one that speaks to you. You can also browse poets if there's a certain poet that you're looking for, or collections as well. So I'm going to print out the poem that I chose earlier, and then I'm going to get started on my Blackout Poetry. The words for Blackout poems are already written on the page, but it's up to you as the Blackout poet to bring new meaning and life to these words. So once I've printed out my poem, the next step is going to be to read over my poem in its entirety, and then I want to find an anchor word. So an anchor word is a word on the page that stands out because it has meaning to you or some sort of significance. So you start with this anchor word, and it helps you to imagine possible themes and topics for your poem. So the anchor word that I chose first was the word uproot. So I like the meaning behind this word. It stood out to me, and so I circled it. I'm only circling with pencil right now because I want to be able to erase later if I decided that there are words that I didn't want to use. So you can also use a separate piece of paper as well and just start writing down the words that you like in order. And then you could start either adding words or taking words out before you start to circle words on your paper. So that way it's kind of like a piece of scratch paper. And then when you are forming your poem, it does not need to form sentences. So my poem does form sentences, and I will read it to you in a second. But the poem can just represent a feeling, emotion, or a particular theme that ties into the drawing that you're going to be doing. So when I'm done with this, I'm going to be blacking out the rest of these words so that you can see the words that I chose. They'll be much more defined. And I'll be doing a drawing to cover up these words. So you can make it themed to do with whatever you want your drawing to be about, or you can just, your drawing could also not have to relate either. Either way that you want to do it is fine. So now that I've found the words on the page that I want to use and I've circled them all, I can read it to you here. So it says that I wish my words that flow from the paper live so as to end and uproot thee alone. So I made this into a sentence, and it has meaning to me. What I am trying to say here is that I wish that my words could come out from the paper and breathe life to these words, which is kind of what we're doing here with the Blackout Poetry. And I'm basically saying I want the words to live so that I could feel less alone. So you can find meaning behind your poem that has nothing to do with what this poem was originally about. And that's what the really neat thing is about Blackout Poetry. So you're bringing completely new life to this poem that most people wouldn't have seen originally. And somebody else who could be doing blackout poetry might have an entirely different poem that they made from these words than what I've just created. So that's the really neat thing about blackout poetry, and it's really fun to do it with another person and do the same poem. That way you can compare them and see what you both have created using these words, because you're going to probably create something completely different than another person. Another thing to keep in mind when you're selecting your words is that you don't want to use more than 3 words in a row that are already on this paper. So if you do that, it's going to make it a little too much like the original poem, so you really want to break up where your words are. So no more than 3 words in a row would be the rule that I would say would be best. And also when you are picking your words, you'll notice like with the word flow, instead of using flown, I just used flow. So you can take parts of words to create other words. Take off parts of words, like with stronger up here. If I was using the word stronger, I might want to just use strong and take off that ER entirely. So you can also do that as well. So once you're done choosing your words, you're going to either start with your picture around the words, or what I like to do is actually use a pen first and go around the words. That way I kind of highlight where these words are that I'm going to be using. And so I'm going to do that now. So once I'm done outlining my words, I'm going to begin with the picture, and because I have the word uproot, it makes me think of a tree, and these words are going up the page vertically in kind of a skinny fashion that reminds me of a tree going up. So that's what I'm going to be doing here now. I'm just going to do an outline of a tree, and my words are going to kind of be going up the trunk. Another reason why I outlined my words first was so that I don't accidentally go over these words. When you start drawing and getting your markers out, sometimes you may accidentally not realize and just go right over one of your words. So this kind of helps highlight them better so that I don't go over them. Because especially if you're using really dark colors, like some people will just do all black when they're doing blackout poetry, and if you accidentally go over one of your words, you could ruin the entire thing. So I'm going to be highlighting these words to hopefully keep myself from doing that. Now that I've finished outlining my tree, I'm going to be taking my pen and then outlining it with a thicker line. When you do this, try to be aware of where your words are. I ended up accidentally going over one of my words, but thankfully it's something that I could fix with a little bit of white paint. I'm going to begin coloring in my tree. I chose to do markers, and I'm using my orange marker and my brown. Now I'm going in with my brown and I'm filling in around the orange areas. When the coloring is finished, you can see that the words are starting to pop out, but I want to get rid of the words that are in the background as well that I don't want as a part of my Blackout Poetry, so I'm going to be drawing a background as well. So I added some grass and I added the sun in the background, and now the Blackout Poetry is finished. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I hope that you made something out of this video. If you made a piece of Blackout Poetry, we would love it if you would share it with us. So you can share it on Facebook, or you could bring it into BMCYF. And don't forget to join me next week for the next Space to Create project tutorial. Have a great week! Bye!